What's up, Irish fans? Anthony Romo here with another edition of our player profiles here with the Ursuline Irish football team from the Golden Dawn. We'd like to thank the Golden Dawn for promoting Ursuline Irish football all season long. Joined by another senior of the Ursuline team for the second time this year, Brian Frasco. Brian, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, very special thing happened last week for you, which I'm sure relieved you a lot. Made your college commitment, committed to St. Francis University, the Red Flash. First off, congrats, and just talk a little bit about what makes St. Francis a good home for you.
Well, when I was looking into colleges, I wanted to be like small, so because I'm not like Ohio State or something like that, like huge campus where I would be not just out on my own, but like I'm more of like a stay closer to home if I can. But since like YSU or they didn't offer, I didn't have that chance. So St. Francis seemed like the best option for me.
And got to give credit to St. Francis for pouncing on you when they did, because that is a team that is firing on all cylinders right now this season. They were the first team in the FCS to clinch an automatic berth into the playoffs. So that's definitely going to be a fun program for you to play for over these next few years. When this season concludes, what kind of players St. Francis getting in Brian Frasco?
Hard worker, and then I know that their center's gonna be like a fifth-year senior, so I'm probably not gonna play next year, but I'll get better next year and then be ready for the next 4 years after that.
And Steve and I will be ready to watch you at that next level on Saturdays for sure. Hopefully, when we're at YSU, hopefully we can get a scheduling thing in the near future. We go there, you guys come here. It'll definitely be a great matchup between two teams that are not separated by very much. Like you said, you kind of like to be close to home and away, and St. Francis is not that far at all. So definitely going to be a fun place for you to play. Now, looking back at the Ursuline side of things, second week of the playoffs coming up this week against Tallmadge. Before we touch into that, we talked about this briefly before we went on. In last week's win against Hawken, we just talked to Mark, who had a big 66-yard touchdown reception. You kind of paved the way for that in a way. Huge block. It had Steve and I kind of up in arms up in the booth because we were like, wow, would not want to be that kid that just had to meet Brian Frasco kind of in the middle of the play. When you get a big play like that where you get a big block that kind of boosts your team in a way that it did with that touchdown, how does that make you feel? It's got to make you feel pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, it feels great because like if Mark scores a 60-yard touchdown and I'm not really a part of it, then it doesn't feel as good. But if you get a block like that, and then it just makes it 10 times better.
And then we were talking with Coach Reardon a little bit ago about the camaraderie of this offensive and defensive lines. A lot of seniors both ways. You on the left side, Casey, Colton, Michael, and Isaac. You guys have played a lot of football together, a lot of experience on the offensive line. Just talk a little bit about what it means to kind of go out and play with some of your best friends every Friday night.
It means a lot because we've been together for 4 years, and at first, like my freshman year, I played, but some of them, like none of them did, and then sophomore year, some played, and then junior year, and now we're all together, so it's really fun.
And then you have really been one of the biggest parts for this Ursuline program your whole 4 years in high school. You've started as a freshman, which is kind of unheard of these days in high school football. So first off, props to you on that. But if you go back to your first game your freshman year, obviously besides experience and strength, what's the biggest thing you've kind of learned from that first time you went out on the high school football field?
That was probably one of the most nervous times I've ever. That was like, I was so nervous for that game, but I feel like that whole freshman year going against juniors and seniors, it like I don't know, like now the game's just slower. Like back then, it was like I had to get the hang of it because all those dudes were bigger than me, stronger than me, and so now I feel like I could just dominate because of that.
And then going into this week's matchup against Tallmadge, a team that likes to play aggressive defensively. They like to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback in the backfield. They have 19 interceptions as a defense this year, which is pretty incredible. Looking forward to this week's matchup. What are some of the things that you've kind of seen on film that this offensive line is going to have to do well on Friday night?
Well, we're definitely gonna have to. I mean, I know they bring a lot of blitzes like they switch around the D line, like 3-man line, 4-man line, 5-man, and they send blitzes. And then I know that they're sound, like make tackles and everything. And then the offensive side, they have I know their quarterback and wide receiver duo is good. They have a wide receiver going to Wisconsin, I think.
Yep.
Which he brings problems, so we have to make sure we're on top of our game with that.
And then how much fun, or I shouldn't say how much fun, how cool of a feeling is it to be able to play another home game at Stambaugh Stadium in Week 12? Has to be a pretty good feeling that you guys not only don't have to travel, but you get to play in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, it feels great. It's a little bit sad because it's the last time we'll be playing there probably ever. But, it's great that we get to play there again because some teams don't.
And then one final thing before we let you go here. Like you said, your final home game this week. Up to this point, what has kind of been your favorite memory at Stambaugh Stadium?
Honestly, I would say last year, I don't know why, but last year during the playoffs was probably the funnest I've ever had playing football. And then, so that's why I think it's probably the best times I've ever had there.
Yeah, you guys had a fun playoff run last year, of course, going all the way to state championship game, beat Canton South and Salem at home before going on the road. Hopefully, we're able to call your guys' games until Week 16 again this year in Canton in just a few weeks. Brian, thanks for joining us, and good luck this week.
Thank you.